Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishna. Basically, this is the next part, that is the 12th number part of the PHP. Basically. So one of the person told that this everything basically we have discussed, right? Basically PHP, VHP basically. Now basically we will go to the physical side, that is the virtual basically physical, the virtual creation basically of the PHP. Basically. So one of the person said what is new in PHP 7 basically. So now we know basically what is the new basically. After this 4 5 videos basically, now we know the basically what actually the new version is basically. But computer industry basically just have to aware about the, they basically only must know basically the computer stuff basically. Rest of thing basically is already tested and checked by the PHP department, the PHP frameworks department basically, they basically checks the stuff. Then basically the city creators basically are there, they basically have done the stuff. The IAS department basically are there, they basically check the stuff. The power departments basically are there. So here one of the person told that the electronics department, that is the BE departments and the ME department, they basically plays very dangerous role. Why? Because they create the stuff basically. For example, PHP Power, Microsoft Power, mainframe Power, this everything basically is getting passed from the power supply, and that is basically derived from the 100 city basically. Here basically we are talking about new version basically. So BE electronics department, ME electronics department basically, they play very dangerous role basically. Dangerous means very dangerous role basically. Because for PHP basically they can't create the different power supply. For .NET basically they will not create the different power supply basically. For the mainframe basically they are not going to create the different power supply basically. In India basically the ABB company is there, like this Reliance basically are there, then the Tata groups are there. These all are groups, very old group basically, they know basically how to handle the power supply data basically. So one of the person told that like this basically the government handles the power supply also, that also you can say. So that here basically we are talking about the new PHP version basically. So here one of the person told that what is basically in the new PHP here basically. Then he told that basically assume that basically one person told that yeah basically this chemical basically is producing the potatoes or tomatoes or vegetables basically. So he told that after certain days basically that chemical is going to produce same stuff basic, no basically it is going to produce some new extraordinary basically version data basically. So same way basically the PHP basically do the creation basically. So what is basically in the new release basically, that is the 100 city basically, but that is physically. Virtually basically what is that, they say that basically the new functions basically added, new procedures basically added, new parameters added in the procedure and functions, like this basically they have added many stuff basically in PHP. Previously in PHP version basically this was giving some limitation basically, when basically certain level of connections basically of the PHP users basically when we are connecting to the server, as if that basically 1 lakh user basically were connecting to the PHP, the system was basically getting slow little bit. But they have improved that basically in the new version by creating new 100 cities basically, by creating more energies basically, by creating more people basically. One person told that we want to create that stuff basically. So when you use 10 resources, this many time is going to take. 100 resources, this many time is going to. So more resources basically you are going to take. More stuff basically is going to be added. Like same way basically the PHP basically group told that basically we created new 100 cities basically. So that basically gives the more performance basically of the PHP. So like this they told that basically they added few new performance in the PHP version, new version basically. Here we are talking about the new version. So you just imagine basically up to what level the new versions basically are connecting here basically. One of the person told that yeah, the new version basically created something new version basically of the video. So one of the person told that how basically PHP is handling the In new version, basically, what PHP is handling. So, one person told that the error handling basically is new stuff basically in PHP. Error handling means one person told that yeah, basically I added one function basically in new PHP, but in that basically they basically changed some parameters, and that parameter basically was compulsory. So in new PHP version basically they added. So they told that basically we have kept the error handling basically. In that basically try catch basically is added. Finally basically is added like this. Basically throw catch is basically done like this. Basically we have kept the error handling in the coding basically. So that basically if anything basically new version basically also gets added, then also basically we can able to track it basically errors basically. And what is that new error basically? That basically gives exact message basically of that this is the error, this way basically this was the reason basically why basically you have done this. That's why basically the error came into the picture. That's why basically the error came into the picture. So they basically told that we have added few new error handling. And what is error handling basically? That everybody knows basically. Try catch, for example, some runtime basically error basically comes into the picture. That is basically never expected. So you need to display the perfect user understandable error message. For that basically the try catch basically is given. In try catch basically you can give your own messages basically, or basically if you don't want to give basically then basically you can display the system error message basically. If you are giving the system error message, then it will say, the user will say that basically ये तो यार कैसा system है basically, it's giving the error basically. So that basically the user understandable error message basically if you will say give, then basically that is the good basically. You have to say that basically due to some reason basically the system basically got hang or like that basically error also you can give basically. That is the your understandable, the user understandable development. Otherwise basically the whatever throw catch basically gives the error, that is basically related to the developer version basically. Only developer basically can understand that error basically. Why? Because it's throw and catch error basically. Because that is created by the developers basically. So one of the person told that these all are the construction areas. These all are the physical PHP designer group has created the PHP data. Then on the base of PHP basically the framework group basically has created their own framework basically. Like this basically throw catch also basically came into the picture basically. So like this basically they have added new PHP errors basically. Then basically the functions are there, operators basically are there. Like this basically the if conditions, L condition, operators basically are there, less than, greater than, this whole thing basically. Or the for example if conditions are there, any if condition basically without operator basically nothing is going to work. Works basically, but without operator basically nobody have their if conditions. And what is if condition? That also we have show basically in long before basically. If condition is also basically connecting with the physical places. That is also basically created from the more than 100 cities basically. That is the base basically of the user. When the user controls basically was created, user controls assume basically it was created on the base of 100 cities. So same way basically the if conditions, while conditions are also basically created on the base time when the base programming basically was going to create. That time only basically they have created all the operators basically. Like this you can just understand basically what actually up to what level the stuff basically are connected. So now basically the why do I need PHP? One of the person will say PHP की मेरे को क्या जरूरत है? Without PHP basically I can't work basically, I can't basically eat basically. Without PHP basically I can't eat my food basically. Like this basically one person done the argument basically. So he told that basically without PHP basically you can drink the water, you can eat the water basically. But why PHP basically you are using? That one of the person basically asked the question basically. Why PHP basically is required? So next video basically we are going to see that only.